Actually, that reminds me, I bought these Tefstel wire ties. They're about 2,200 bucks a piece, so I forgot about them, but they're supposed to be high temp. Let's do a test. So I got a grip lock tie. I know this one's much fatter, so that's not really fair. These are about 40 cents a piece. This one, I wrote $1. I don't know if they're what they really are, but they were expensive. And then the nylon one, full blast. Tefstel one's letting go. Yep. Oh, the sucker's really taking a beating here. Wow, very impressed with the grip tie thing. I mean, they're expensive and they're kind of bulky. That's the only thing I don't like about them. I have to say, for the price that these cost, well, I know they're small, but they don't seem to hold that much longer than the nylon ones. Anyway, none of this probably matters. Other people have figured this out. I'm just having fun. All right, back to work. 5 down, 3 to go. Alright, finally got the screw in. I dropped it twice and had to go look for the washer and the screw, but I found it. Not necessarily beneficial to have one of these epoxy floors that you can't find anything on. Have I voiced my gripe on this mounting method? I come from the car audio world, or car electronics, and they're always trying to do things faster and better and, I don't want to say cheaper, but cost effective, efficient. And this to me is just so hokey and old fashioned. You know, like if I saw this come in on somebody's car, I'd be like, I'd laugh. I don't know why they do it. One thought I had, and somebody can comment or correct, is that these nuts and bolts maybe act as a bit of a heat sink to, you know, when the heat comes down from the thermocouple. But that's about the only explanation, other than I don't know. But like this is a Royal, kind of seems silly. Like, what's wrong with this? This is a crimp connector, okay, with heat shrink on it, so it's got great strain relief on it. This thing you could probably tow a car with. Much more low profile. I guess if you have to replace it, then, you know, you would have to cut it in the middle and maybe lose 1/4 of an inch of the copper that's crimped. But how often do these go bad? I mean, it's not like you replace these with every oil change. So anyway, just a little rant. Well, like anything on this project, it always takes longer and is more time consuming. But I think all in all, the sensors came out good. It's really hard to get them, I don't know, uniform, but I got my curls in them. I got the fire sleeve on them. I tried to get them so they don't hit anything. Over here was a little tricky. And then the idea is I have the harness. This is my service loop, okay? So obviously this can be wire tied down and covered. And I don't know if you can see down here, but they're all labeled right there, what they are. And the idea is if that lines up with the tube here, that's where they're supposed to be. And if you need to service them, you know, you can just loosen this and pull it through. And you get yourself another, I don't know, 8 inches, or depends how hard you yank. Now, I think while I'm doing connectors, I'm gonna do these guys up here. All right, I think I finally have my technique down with these stupid connectors. I made a time-lapse video of doing this side, but it was so horrible because like everything went wrong. But I think now I have it. I even made myself a little cheat sheet. So first thing I do is I strip off 1 1/4 inches. Then you debraid the whole shielding, and that's kind of, I don't know, kind of a pain, but you got to get it all the way around, and then you separate it and you cut that down to, what did I say? Down to 1 1/4, because once you stretch it, it's going to be longer again. And I'm actually using these Stein connectors because the ones that came with it, I don't know, I don't like them. They're too big, they don't fit, they don't crimp on the insulation, yada yada. So these are the ones I got from Stein, aviation ones, and they seem to be a lot tighter. I put a little piece of heat shrink on it, and I put a piece of clear heat shrink on there. I'll show it to you all in a minute. And I'll probably get some heat shrink and just cover this part as well, but I don't want the double wall heat shrink on that, or I'll get something from work, I'm not sure yet. All right, so I stripped that back, defrayed all this. This is about 1 1/4 inches, and once you straighten this, it's over 1.5 inches. Then I stripped it down. As long as you get it straight, you notice that I put a blue connector on there rather than the 10 gauge yellow one. I just think it's a little smaller, it fits better. And I put a piece of 7/8 inch long heat shrink over it. Okay. And as long as you get them straight and maybe trim a few stragglers out of that, this will fit into that blue, 14, 16 gauge conductor. Then you take that, cut braid to 1 1/4. Okay. So yeah, that's 7/8 of the heat shrink. You cut it to 1 1/4, and that leaves me a solid 3/8 to crimp on. And then I actually take the part that normally goes on the jacket and I crimp it onto the heat shrink. This one here, I will trim down to 1 inch, and I'll take like 5/16 off of the insulation off. All right, there you have it. And now what I do is I just level these out, but one's obviously longer than the other. So I kind of dog leg it like this, get this nice and tight. So this way they'll go onto the terminal. I read somewhere, these all have a red dot. You think that's, the inner, positive, whatever. I thought I read somewhere in the manual that the polarity doesn't actually matter. So now I'm gonna take the clear heat shrink, put that over that, And then this is the grommet. If you remember, I made these holes for these 3/4 grommets. And honestly, that was a really good idea because it allows me to kind of, and I put the hole off center, you know, thinking I just want to get the wire closer to that because none of them lined up closer to the terminal, but it allows me to actually clock these however there's the least amount of strain on the wire. And then obviously you can still wire time to this. And for what it's worth, all these little wire ties, these are just kind of temporary. Even though they seem to be heat resistant, according to my test, they'll be replaced. The harnesses themselves will probably be wire lacing, once we have them all configured. And then the wire ties that hold things will be the grip lock ties, the expensive thick ones with the rubber padding on them. There you have it. The coils are wired. This was kind of a struggle because from the get-go, firewall was, or the coils are too close. They should move them up, a little more flexibilities. The holes weren't lined up where they drill through. So I like my idea of making the bigger hole with the offset gasket so you can kind of rotate them. I think this is going to work. It looks neat, no hokey things around there. Like I said, I might still put some heat shrink on there. But more importantly, I'm going to end the video here, and happy building. Sorry, it's probably going to be a long video. Up next is, I don't know, I got to deal with this FT90. Kind of thinking about doing something down here, but that's for the, ouch, knee, getting old. That's for the next video. Good night.